now I read for you part 11 of the philosophic book Freedom from the Known from Jiddu Krishnamurti. R.S.M.R. Katz. So, this is an ASMR recording. So I highly can recommend you to put your headphones in your ear to get the crystal clear sound of this ASMR clip. To look and to listen. Art, beauty, austerity, images, problems, space. We have been inquiring into the nature of love and have come to a point, I think, which needs much greater penetration and much greater awareness of the issue. We have discovered that for most people love means comfort, security, a guarantee for the rest of their life, of continuous emotional satisfaction. Then someone like me comes along and says, "Is there real love?" and questions you and asks you to look inside yourself. And you try not to look because this is very disturbing. You would rather discuss the soul or the political or economic situation. But when you are driven into a corner to look, you realize that what you have always thought of as love is not love at all. It is a mutual gratification, a mutual exploitation. When I see love has no tomorrow and no yesterday, or when there is no central, then there is love. It has reality for me, but not for you. You may quote it and make it into a formula, but that has no validity. You have to see it for yourself. But to do so, there must be freedom to look. Freedom from all condemnation, all judgment, and all agreeing or disagreeing. Now, to look is one of the most difficult things in life, or to listen. To look and listen are the same. If your eyes are blinded with your worries, you cannot see the beauty of the sunset. Most of us have lost touch with nature. Civilization is tending more and more towards large cities. We are becoming more and more an urban people, living in crowded apartments and having very little space, even to look at the sky of an evening and a morning. And therefore, we are losing touch with a great deal of beauty. I don't know if you have noticed how few of us look at the sunrise or sunset, or the moonlight or the reflection of light and water. Having lost touch with the nature, we naturally tend to develop intellectual capacities. We read a great many books, go to great many museums and concerts, watch television and have many other entertainments. We quote endlessly from other people's ideas and think and talk a great deal about art. Why is it that we depend so much upon art? Is it a form of escape, of stimulation? If you are directly in contact with nature, if you watch the movement of a bird on the wing, see the beauty of every movement of the sky, watch the shadows on the hills or the beauty on the face of another, do you think you will want to go to any museum to look at any picture? Perhaps it is because you do not know how to look at it. Things about you that you resort to some form of drug to stimulate you to see better. There is a story of a religious teacher who used to talk every morning to his disciples. One morning he got on the platform and was just about to begin when a little bird came and sat on the window still and began to sing, and sang away with a full heart. Then it stopped and flew away, and the teacher said, "The sermon for this morning is over." It seems to me that one of our greatest difficulties is to see for ourselves really clearly, not only outward things, but inward life. When we say we see a tree or a flower or a person, do we actually see them? Or do we merely see the image that the world has created? That is, when you look at a tree or at a cloud of an evening full of light and delight, do you actually see it not only with your eyes and intellectually, but totally, completely? Have you ever experimented with looking at an objective thing, like a tree, without any of these associations, any of the knowledge you have acquired about it, without any prejudice, any judgment, any words forming a screen between you and the tree and preventing you from seeing it as it actually is? Try it and see what actually takes place when you observe the tree with all your being, with the totality of your energy. In that intensity, you will find that there is no observe at all. There is only attention. It is when there is intention that there is the observed and the observed. When you are looking at something with completely intention, there is no space for a conception or formula or memory. This is important to understand because we are going into something which requires very careful investigation. It is only a mind that looks at a tree or the stars of the sparkling waters of a river with a complete self-abandonment that knows what beauty is. And when we are actually seeing, we are in a state of love. We generally know beauty through comparison or through what man has put together, which means that we attribute beauty to some objects. I see what I consider to be a beautiful building, and that beauty I appreciate because of my knowledge of architecture and by comparing it with other buildings I have seen. But now I am asking myself, is there a beauty without object? When there is an observer, who is the sensor, the experiencer, the king? There is no beauty because beauty is something external, something the observer looks at and judges. But when there is no observer, and this demands a great deal of meditation, of inquiry, then there is beauty without the object. Beauty lies in the total abandonment of the observer and the observed. And there can be self-abandonment only when there is totally austerity. Not the authority of the priest with the harshness, its sanction rules and obedience. Not austerity in the clothes, ideas, food and behavior, but the austerity of being totally simple, which is completely humility. Then there is no achieving, no ladder to climb. There is only the first step, and the first step is the first everlasting step. Say, you are walking by yourself or without somebody, and you have stopped talking. You are surrounded by nature, and there is no dog barking, no noise of a car passing, or even the flutter of a bird. You are completely silent, and nature around you is also wholly silent. And that state of silence, both in the observed and the observed, when the observer is not translating what he observes into thought, in that silence there is a different quality of beauty. There is neither nature nor the observer. There is a state of mind, wholly, completely alone. It is alone. Not in isolation, alone in stillness, and that stillness is beauty. When you love, is there any observer? There is an observer only when love is desire and pleasure. When desire and pleasure are not created with love, then love is intense. It is like beauty, something totally new every day. As I have said, it has no yesterday and no tomorrow. It is only when we see what any preconception, any image, that we are able to be in a direct contact with anything in life. All our relationships are really imaginary. That is based on an image formed by thought. If I have an image about you and you have an image about me, naturally we don't see each other at all as we actually are. What we see is the images we have formed about each other, which prevent us from being in contact, and that is why our relationships go wrong. When I say, I know you, I mean I know you yesterday. I do not know the actually one. All I know is my image of you. That image is put together by what you have said in praise of me or to insult me. What you have done to me. It is put together by all the memories I have of you. And your images of me is put together in the same way. And it is those images which have relationship and which prevent us from really communing with each other. Two people who have lived together for a long time have an image of each other which prevents them from really being in a relationship. If we understand relationship, we can cooperate, but cooperation cannot possibly exist through images, through symbols, through ideological concepts. Only when we understand the true relationship between each other is there a possibility of love. And love is denied when we have images. Therefore, it is important to understand, not intellectually, but actually in your daily life, how you have built images about your wife, your husband, your neighbor, your child, your country, your leaders, your politicians, your gods. You have nothing but images. These images create the space between you and what you observe in it. That space, there is a conflict. So what we are going to find out now together is whether it is possible to be free of the space we create, not only outside ourselves, but in ourselves. The space which divides people in all their relationships. Now, the very attention you give to a problem is the energy that solves the problem. When you give your complete attention, I mean with everything in you, there is no observer at all. There's only the state of attention, which is totally energy, and that total energy is the highest form of intelligence. Naturally, that state of mind must be completely silent, and that silence, that stillness comes when there is total attention, not disciplined stillness. That total silence in which there is neither the observer nor the observed is the highest form of religious mind. But what takes place in the state cannot be put into words, because what it is said in words is not the fact. To find out for yourself, you have to go through it. Every problem is related to every other problem, so that if you can solve one problem completely, it does not matter what it is. You will see that you are able to meet all other problems easily and resolve them. We are talking, of course, of psychological problems. We have already seen that a problem exists only in time. That is when we meet the issue incompletely. So not only must we be aware of the nature and structure of the problem and see it completely, but meet as it arises and resolve it immediately, so that it does not take root in their mind. If one allows a problem to endure for a month or a day or even for a minute, it distorts the mind. So is it possible to meet a problem immediately without any distortion and be immediately completely free of it and not allow a memory, a scratch on the mind to remain? These memories are the images we care about with us, and it is images which we meet this extraordinary thing called life. And therefore, there is a contradiction and conflict. Life is very real. Life is not abstraction. And when you meet it with an image, there are problems. Is it possible to meet every issue without the space-time interval, without that gap between oneself and the thing of which one is afraid? It is possible only when the observer has no continuity. The observer who is the builder of the image, the observer who is collecting of memories and ideas, who is a bundle of abstraction. When you look at the stars, there is you who you are looking at the stars in the sky. The sky is flooded with brilliant stars. There is cool air and there is you, the observer, the experiencer, the thinker. You with your aching heart, you, the center curtain space. You will never understand about the space between yourself and the stars, yourself and your wife or husband or friend, because you have never looked without the image. And that is why you do not know what beauty is or what love is. You talk about it, you write about it, but you have never known it except perhaps at rare intervals of the total self-abandonment. So long as there is a center creating space around itself, there is neither love nor beauty. When there is no center and no circumference, then there is love. And when you love, you are beauty. When you look at the face opposite, you are looking from a center, and the center created the space between person and person. And that is why our lives are so empty and callous. You cannot cultivate love or beauty, nor can you invent truth. But if you are all the time aware of what you are doing, you can calculate awareness, and out of that awareness you will begin to see the nature of pleasure, desire and sorrow, and the utter loneliness and boredom of man. And then you will begin to come upon the thing called the space. When there is space between you and the object you are observing, you will know there is no love. And without love, however hard you try to reform the world or bring about a new social order, or however much you talk about improvements, you will only create agony. So it is up to you. There is no leader, there is no teacher, there is nobody to tell you what to do. You are alone in this mad, brutal world. This was the 11th part out of the book from Krishnamurti, The Freedom from the Known. I read in different kind of sections. I read part after part. Maybe it is not understandable for you when I would read the full book. So I try to put it in several parts to have the opportunity to think about it and to really, really, really take it deep in your heart. And even if you don't understand it, you can click again on the video and listen to it over again. The meaning about love is something so special and so intense, so I am really hoping that you are aware of what he is trying to say, and you don't look away from it, that you take it inside of you and you try to find a connection with the words he tried to write down. Jiddu Krishnamurti is a philosophic who really have the ability to don't step too close to you, but write with you in a way that you could understand by yourself what he tried to tell you. If you're not already checked out all the other parts, I really can recommend you to start with me by part 1 and listen to the end of the book in the different parts I have for you. I not only read this book, I also have read all books from Dr. Seuss, and they are also very nice and in a different way philosophic, but as well very philosophic. English is not my mother language, so please be careful to argue about my English here in these books. It's hard to read and the words are so deep that it is also very emotional for me. All the triggers and all the tingles are on. Not just for you, as well for me, so please be patient with it. My name is ASMR Katz. I'm a tattoo girl who loves to show you the satisfaction through sound with the help of ASMR. If you don't know what ASMR means, feel free to Google it. We have this special medium extra made for the ones who want to know. You also can read under the clip a bit about it and on my homepage as well. I would be amazed if you like to follow me and to subscribe to my channel. And when you click on the notification bell, you will get every Wednesday and Sunday a new notification that I will read more or will have a new video waiting for you, because this is not just the only videos I made. I have different kind of topics from ASMR I show to you, and that you can see what actually I create and what I do with the help of ASMR. I like to make mukbang ASMR. I love to eat food and vegetables and fruits and sweets. I like to show you through very unique ways how intense the sound can trigger your mind. And I show you with very simple things how effective the triggers can be. And I invite you to write in the comments down how you feel about my channel. And if you have any question, feel free to ask. And if you want to tell me something or a wish for the future, I try my best to answer all the comments as soon as possible. Because as a very, very exciting and very curious person, I love also to know the ones who are following me a bit better. So feel free to check out all my other videos here on my YouTube page. And I would be super, super amazed when we see us again to the next part of this book, Freedom from the Known, from Jiddu Krishnamurti. And if not, there are a lot of other videos you can find and you can see and you can enjoy. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope I see you to the next part.